Amazon may have just spoiled Google's next flagship a full month early. Leaked Amazon placeholder listings are being linked to the Google Pixel 11, and they don't just hint at the phone's existence. They drop the kind of details that usually stay hidden until launch day: new Pixel 11 colors, storage configuration, battery size, RAM, weight, and even the rumored starting price. And if these leaks are accurate, Google is making two big statements with the Pixel 11. First, it wants the phone to look different. And second, it wants the performance story to be led by something much bigger than a new paint. The first 2nm smartphone chip. Let's start with what leaked, what it likely means, and what you should watch for at Google's August 12th Made by Google event. The most eye-catching part of the Amazon leak is the color lineup. The base Google Pixel 11 is reportedly showing up in 3 shades: midnight, fuchsia, and moss. And the names matter, because they signal a very specific strategy. Midnight covers the classic, safe option, your dark, understated, flagship look. But fuchsia and moss, those aren't slightly different. Blues, those are statement colors. Google has historically done some of the most recognizable smartphone colors in the industry colors that make pixels instantly identifiable from across a room. If fuchsia and moss are real, this looks like Google doubling down on personality in a market where most phones still look like black glass rectangles. Now, the interesting part is how the listings apparently got there. The Amazon entries were reportedly under a Google Store seller tag and used placeholder names in the titles. But the product descriptions revealed the actual color names. That's exactly the kind of mix-up you get when templates are uploaded early and the wrong fields end up public. It's not a guarantee, but it's one of the more believable ways a leak happens. The leak doesn't stop at colors. It also spills a surprisingly complete spec snapshot for the base Pixel 11. If the Amazon listing details are accurate, the Google Pixel 11 base model comes with a 6.3-inch display at 1080 by 2424 resolution, 12 GB of RAM, 256 GB of storage, and a 4,985 mAh battery. The listed weight is around 204 grams. That combination is important for one major reason: it suggests Google is not cutting corners on the base model this year. There had been earlier chatter that the base Pixel 11 might drop to 8 GB of RAM, which would have been hard to defend in 2026, especially at flagship pricing. Seeing 12 GB listed for the standard Pixel 11 is a big deal, because it positions the base model as a true flagship, instead of a good phone with 1 or 2 premium features. But there's a price shift to end. It's one that will get people talking. The leak points to a $899 price tag for the Pixel 11 with 256 GB of storage. And it also hints that Google may be dropping the 128 GB option entirely. That's a classic pricing move. Remove the cheaper storage tier, keep the starting price higher, and justify it by saying everyone gets more storage by default. For buyers, it's a mixed bag. On one hand, 256 GB as a baseline is genuinely more practical in a world of 4,000 video, large games, offline downloads, and AI features that may cache or store more data locally. On the other hand, it's still a higher entry price, and it makes the Pixel 11 feel like a bigger financial commitment right from the start. Now, here's where we need to slow down and talk credibility, because the Amazon listings reportedly contain a few red flags. One listing mentions Android 16, even though the Pixel 11 will almost certainly ship with Android 17. Another detail, like including a SIM ejector tool, sounds like leftover copy-pasted from an older template. These kinds of mistakes don't automatically kill the leak, but they do tell you the pages may be incomplete, filled with placeholders, or partially inaccurate. So treat the leak like this. The broad strokes are probably meaningful colors, storage, price direction, and the fact the listings exist, but the fine print might be messy. Now let's talk about the real headline behind the Pixel 11 leak, the Tensor G6 chip. According to the leaked details, Google's Tensor G6 is built on TSMC's 2nm process. If true, that's enormous not just for the Pixel 11, but for the entire smartphone market. A 2nm mobile chip isn't just a spec flex. It's a potential solution to the biggest complaints Tensor chips have faced for years: efficiency and thermals. Here's what 2 nanometers could mean in real life. Smaller manufacturing nodes typically bring to big advantages: better performance per watt and better sustained performance under load. In plain English, that can translate into smoother gaming, less heat during heavy camera use, better standby time, and improved battery life, even if the battery capacity itself isn't dramatically larger than last year. And that matters, because if the Pixel 11 really has a 4,985 mAh battery, the battery story is going to depend heavily on efficiency. Nearly 5,000 mAh is solid, especially in a 6.3-inch phone, but it's not automatically 2-day battery. If the Tensor G6 delivers major efficiency gains, the Pixel 11 could feel like a battery upgrade, even if the number looks like a small bump. The leaked performance architecture details are also interesting. The Tensor G6 is described as a 7-core CPU setup with a high-performance prime core, multiple performance cores, an efficiency core Zen approach designed to balance bursts of speed with everyday power savings. There's also talk of a GPU shift away from the older Mali design to a new PowerVR GPU. If that GPU change happens, it could be a pivotal moment for Pixel gaming performance and thermal control. GPU tuning impacts everything from frame stability to heat to battery drain in games, camera processing, and AI workloads. A new GPU also suggests Google is rethinking core performance, not just updating the chip name, but the biggest potential quality of life upgrade might be the modem. One of the most consistent complaints from longtime Pixel users has been modem behavior, signal stability, heat, and battery drain on mobile data. This leak suggests the Pixel 11 could move to a MediaTek M90 modem, ending Google's long run with Samsung Exynos-based modems. If Google really switches modem suppliers and nails cellular efficiency, it could dramatically improve day-to-day experience, better reception consistency, less battery loss on 5G, and fewer "why is my phone warm" in my pocket moments. For a lot of users, a great modem upgrade feels bigger than a camera upgrade, because you experience it every hour, not just when you take photos. Now, beyond the base Pixel 11, the Amazon leak also hints at the wider Pixel 11 family. The Pixel 11 Pro is rumored to appear in more muted colors like Dune and Sterling, while the Pixel 11 Pro Fold is shown in Pine and Midnight. That color separation fits a familiar flagship strategy: bold colors to sell the standard model as fun and approachable, and more neutral, premium tones to signal the serious Pro line. And if the Pro models bring a new hardware feature called Pixel Glow RGB LED notification system integrated into the camera bar, that could become one of those love it or head to it features that still ends up being iconic. Notification lights are oddly practical, especially if they're customizable for different apps, contacts, or charging status. The leak also suggests Pixel Glow might replace the thermometer sensor from the previous Pro model generation. And honestly, that trade makes sense. The thermometer was interesting, but it was niche. A useful notification light is something people can benefit from daily, especially with silent mode meetings or quick glance alerts. There's another detail buried in the leak that could hint at an entirely new Google accessory: compatibility with something called a Google Pixel Tag. Google hasn't officially announced a Pixel Tag, but rumors about a Google tracker have been around for years. If this accessory is real and launching alongside the Pixel 11, it would be Google's play for the item tracker category, something that could integrate tightly with Android's tracking network, Google services, and Pixel-exclusive features. Now, let's talk launch timing, because this is the part you can actually plan around. Google has confirmed its Made by Google event for August 12th in New York City. With the presentation expected to kick off in the evening, the leak suggests pre-orders could open the same night, and the lineup is expected to include the Pixel 11, Pixel 3 Pro, and the Pixel 11 Pro Fold, though the foldable could arrive slightly later, depending on Google's release pattern.